Was mead discovered or invented? And who done it? Let's talk about that. Welcome to another episode of Mead with Eric and Derek. Don't forget to do all the stuff, like and comment and subscribe and all that. Now I have a question for you. What do you think was the first fermented beverage? I think it was most definitely, and beyond a shadow of a doubt, mead. Because you can accidentally make mead. Like you can't accidentally make, well, I mean you can, but you have to do things to make beer. You have to do things to make wine. To make beer, you have to do all the grains. You have to mash it. To do the wine, you have to juice all the grapes. To do cider, you have to juice the apples. To make mead, all you gotta do is mix honey and water. That's it. Of course, we make mead much better now than it was made back in primitive times. But just mead with no standards, mix honey and water. Wait, that's it. You'll have mead. Wild yeast will get in there and ferment it. It may not be the best mead. It's probably one of the worst meads, but it will be mead. And I think that was the genesis of mead. Now, when we're talking about history from this long ago, it's very hard to verify these facts. It's very hard to say without a doubt something that happened 10 or 15 or 20,000 years ago. But what follows is what we at Eric and Derek believe is the beginning of mead, a dramatic reenactment of the discovery of mead. Eriki and his small band of warriors have traveled far from the village in search of meal-worthy prey. Eriki, ever perceptive, spots something in the distance and calls the hunting party to a halt. He motions towards it, but the others cannot see. At last, they see. A beehive. Anxious for the sweet treat inside, Eriki urges his warriors to try to get it down. Young Josiah has an idea. But he fails. Young Nanuto, the smallest, has a better idea. This might work. But the warriors need something bigger, heavier. The strong hunting warriors are no match for the swarming bees. But Eriki will not leave without the honey. He orders the second warrior to fetch it. But Eriki refuses. Young Nanuto, realizing that he is the smallest and weakest, resigns himself to the task. Finally, Eriki has his treat. After the hunt, the warriors carry their kill back to the village. Eriki, their noble leader, has filled his water skin with water, but will not let anyone else drink of it. He is saving it all for himself. It is his right, as leader, to be the only partaker of the sweet water. He drinks of the skins from the other warriors to sate his thirst, leaving a sweet honey water mixture in his own skin for later. The journey back to the village takes days, and unbeknownst to the warriors, wild yeasts have begun to ferment the honey water. By the time they make it back to the village, the honey water has fermented and has become mead. Finally drinking his mead, Ricky is surprised that it is no longer sweet, and equally surprised that it has given him magical powers of strength, intelligence, and sexual prowess. He finally works up the courage to take a wife, who soon bears him a son. Ricky believes he is blessed by the gods and becomes a shaman. He teaches his son the mystical ways of the honey water that becomes a magical potion. Mead has been with us ever since. Now, please don't mistake this episode for historical fact. We can't verify that mead came first. It's more of a hypothesis. This is what we think. And when you think about it, what you have just seen makes so much sense. Wouldn't a caveman with water skins walking through the woods see some honey, pour that honey into his water skin, and then carry it around for a couple of days? After a while, it's going to become mead. Primitive man couldn't really have walked around with mashed grains in his water skin, or grape juice in his water skin, or apple juice in his water skin. I mean, I suppose he could. If he saw apples, he might have known how to juice them and how to keep that juice. But if a caveman found a beehive, took the honey, put the honey into his water skin, mix it with water, let it sit for a couple days, he'll have mead. And that is a discovery of mead 20,000 years ago, before civilization existed, when men were still cavemen, Neanderthals, living in primitive huts and doing whatever it is cavemen do. They had alcohol, they had mead that long ago. Thank you for watching.
Are you getting beat?
She started recording already.
Oh, are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't